Good morning. It is hot, it is sticky, it is gross. As you can tell, I'm already hot, but it is the coolest day that we are going to have this week, next week, and I think even the week after. And we are out of a lot of things. There's stuff coming in from the garden that we need to preserve, so it's now or never. I'm Suze. Welcome to my Homestead kitchen. Today we are making bagels, we're making pizza buns, we're going to do a quick pickle on some hot peppers, and I need to water the garden, but they're calling for rain, so I'm hoping that we actually get hit by the rain, even though I really don't think we're going to. I want it to rain. The rain is so much better. But here we are. So, we're going to get started. We're going to start with some dough and just move around. This is going to be like another homesteading today type thing. But it's just kitchen projects. So, kids are home, as you can tell. Let's get this started. So this is my normal bread recipe that I'm using to make bagels. It is this is where my camera messed up. It's 1 tablespoon of yeast, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 2.5 cups of warm water, 5 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of salt, and 2 tablespoons of oil. Then I mix together, and I use this dough for everything. Rise time obviously depends on your house. In the winter I have to let it rise more because it's so much colder in my house, and like during the summer I have to cut my rise time by almost half an hour. Just because of the difference in temperature. This is where I'm trying to show you that the thunderstorms are coming. It didn't really work, but you know, here we are. So I just realized that the dough was really sticky, so I added a little bit as I hand knead. I always do a kneading at the end by hand just to make sure, because I'm never quite sure if I've done it, like I've mixed it enough in the mixer. So I always do a little bit by hand at the very, very end. See, so sticky. And you'll notice that I keep looking up and away. I'm getting so distracted by the kids' shows because they're obviously inside with the threat of thunderstorms. So I'm getting so distracted by their show, and I love the fact that we can, you know, share it. So this I'm going to put in for an hour. Oh, we're making the brine time. I am doing 1 recipe's worth, so it's 4 cups of water, 1 cup of vinegar, and half a cup of salt. And you bring that up to a boil. We are doing quick pickles or fridge pickles on peppers that I pulled out of the garden. So here they are. So there's some shishito peppers, some pepperoncini peppers, some jalapeno peppers, and some Hungarian hot peppers. I hate these gloves. I hate these gloves so much, but they're the only ones I have right now. Because I keep forgetting every time I go to the store to pick up actual gloves. This is also the second time I've ever used this food chopper. I used it on garlic and it was okay, but I really realized that this is what it's meant for. So For the jalapenos, I am cutting them into pieces using the food chopper because that's how we use them. Even when I bought them from the store, they would come in rings. They always come in rings at the store. We would chop them up. So why not make things the way you're going to use them, the end product, right? I can never get away from the sirens. Ever. So my plan is kind of just to, as the peppers slowly come in, just add them to, that's where I'm showing you how I cut them up. Add to the jar. So these are the pepperoncini peppers and the hot Hungarian wax that I am cutting into rings. I use these fairly interchangeably on pizzas and sandwiches. So that's why I'm just putting them together in the same jar. And for these, I am doing rings because that's how I prefer these peppers. And I do have whole pepperoncini peppers in my fridge from the grocery store that I haven't finished yet because it's such a pain to cut them. So, once again, make the product you're going to use, right? The brine is done and really hot, and I don't want it to be overly hot when I put it on my peppers because I think it'll preserve the crunch a bit better, I guess. So here you'll see that I do put in the extra brine because I am factoring in being able to pick straight out of the garden and add to the jars as we need, or as I need, or see fit, I guess. So I'm just going to let them sit and cool for the rest of our projects because I'm not putting hot things in my fridge. So they're just going to sit there. So this is my bagel dough. I am going to eyeball 12 pieces. That's how many bagels I get. It's just the right size for us. You might be able to get more or less depending on, you know, how big and or small you like your bagels. I find that this just gives me the right size for everyone. So what I like to do is roll them into, I'm talking to my kids. I like to roll them into little spheres and then let them sit for 5 minutes to kind of let that gluten that I've just messed with relax a little bit before we boil them. So for shaping, there's a couple of ways to do it, but I just like to punch a hole through and just kind of shape it into a bagel. I make the holes in the middle ridiculously large, but the end product very rarely has a hole. So I like to boil for 30 seconds on each side and then swoosh them around to get the excess water off. And then do that as many times as I need for however many bagels I'm making that day. This is a weird step that I don't know if it's necessary. I just like to pick them up and move them so that they don't stick to the parchment as much. Another thing I do is instead of an egg wash, I do a milk wash because I was having a really hard time with the amount of egg that I was throwing away after making a batch of bagels. So I use milk instead. I can pour out as much or as little as I want. Also today we are making everything bagels and cheese bagels. Cheese bagels have been the most requested thing all summer, and everything bagels are a standard in our house. So this everything seasoning is my blend of sesame seeds, poppy seeds, granulated garlic, dehydrated onion. Yeah, I used to add pepper, but I was told that it was too spicy. And there is the cheese. I do pat the seasoning and the cheese down so that it kind of sticks a bit better. I don't know if it works. It just makes me feel better. And there's the bagels out of the oven. They take about 15 minutes to bake. And I'm so happy with them. My friend, I gave her a couple in the spring, just plain. And she's like, you are spoiling your children. These are the pizza buns. They're based on a recipe that or a pizza bun I used to be able to get at a local grocery store. So they're a cheese pinwheel basically, and then there's a pizza topping. So after I do the cheese, I cut it in, I think I ended up making 32 because I was making them like snack size. So I roll them up like cinnamon buns and then squish them down and then let them rise for an hour. And that's what they look like. Then I squish them down again. So the pizza sauce that I am using, I made. It was a jar of tomato sauce from the grocery store that I added oregano and basil from the garden. And I added our chive salt, garlic, and onion powder. And it was the best pizza sauce I've ever had. So I have this extra little tray here because there was too many for my big trays. I end up baking those ones in the toaster oven and they take a little while longer than the rest. So there are 3 types of cheese ending up in this. We have mozzarella, we have cheddar, like old cheddar, and then we have a marble as well. And unfortunately, only 2 of the 3 kids like them. And there they are out of the oven. I think they took about 20 minutes. I don't actually remember because I take the internal temperature, and there's lunch featuring the pizza buns. This is a lemon raspberry muffin recipe that I found on the internet. I'll link it down below. The flavor was fantastic, and yes, you will see me in just a minute here. I'm going to be adding lemon juice to the milk. And the flavor was still phenomenal. I don't know what kind of sorcery that was, but it was really good. The only thing was I accidentally underbaked them. Like really underbaked them somehow. I toothpicked 3 of them. They came out clean and they were underbaked. Oops. Anybody else hate trying to make something using a recipe off your phone? I couldn't get my printer to work to print this off because, you know, it was throwing another hissy fit. I had to use my phone and I hated it. It was awkward and weird and just paper all the way. Here's the milk with the lemon juice. And yes, I am in Ontario, Canada, in case you couldn't tell by the bagged milk. I did leave it in there just because I thought it'd be funny. Does anybody else's lemon juice bottles stick like crazy after you open them the first time? I guess it's because lemon juice is sticky. I don't know. Water break. I like to let my muffins sit and rest before I put them in the muffin liners. I don't know why. I heard that somewhere and I just adopted it. This is where I realized I forgot to add sugar because I'm struggling so much with the recipe on my phone. At least I remembered it before I baked them. These are raspberries that I froze from various batches that I'd buy for the girls for their lunches. Basically what I would do at the end of the week is anything we didn't use and was still good, I would freeze. So those are the raspberries from that. You will notice in a moment that I add more raspberries, and I kind of wish, like, I've eaten the muffins, they're okay. I kind of do wish I put more in though. There are the muffins. They smell fantastic. They look fantastic. I'm really happy. So the only projects left are to do the dishes that I've created today and freeze these. So that is fantastic. It did end up raining all day, which is even better, which means I don't have to water. I am thrilled about that. But it does mean that I very much overheated the house because I've had to keep windows closed.